Life of Lord Buddha, full biography and animation, English, 4 hour. Yeah, this is the one for sure. Which I'm at one. I'm about 4 hours into it, just shy of about 3 hours and 40 minutes in there. And I really found that this portrayal was interesting because I've listened to Jack Kornfield, I've listened to Joseph Goldstein, obviously, books and stuff, where they talk about the stories of the Buddha, the accomplishments, and the different things that he's done. And this was neat to see an animated version of. It seems a bit more mystical, which I thought was quite interesting, where certain things he seemed very grounded and just like whatever, like right here, but there's no like spiritual, mystical stuff to it. I thought this was neat, like the thing where he goes to heaven and to teach his mother the Dhamma, and he's there for 3 months, I believe. He's there for 3 months during the rainy season, and then after a week, I think it was
Ananda, his chief disciple.
Yeah, he, like, I don't know how they depict it in the video was really cool. He like teleports there, but I don't know if it was like a psychic communication or what, but shows him speak to the Buddha. I think from how I interpreted that, it was more like of a telekinetic or telepathic conversation they had together. And he's like, "When are you coming back?" And he's like, "Tell them I'll be back in 7 days." So then 7 days goes by, and they make the 3. He makes heaven, hell, and available to view for the world to see. Be like, "Hey guys, this is right under your noses, and you don't even realize it. Like, these are the different realms, and I'm going to show you this. So, like, live the right life because it's real."
Yeah, it
it's
is.
like here, and like the stairs and stuff. And it was just that was a really really cool thing that I didn't realize. Some of the things, I'm jumping around a bit, but like his family, and he was looking into that a bit more. And obviously, his mother passed away 7 days after his birth and became a diva. She was in heaven to go to teach the Dhamma. One of the things I thought was interesting about this particular portrayal is when he sees the 3 sights, it was like gods were coming down, like they knew that he was going to be the enlightened one. He was going to be the Supreme Buddha. So they put those sights in front of him, even though his father tried to set up this situation that, okay, fine, you can go out, you can go on there, put all the old people away, put all the sick people away. I don't want anybody to see anything.
Sit here. So you can rest your back on here. Yeah.
Oh, no, so
Grab that with you. I want you to sit here and hear their stories. It's pretty cool. I always get a kick out of hearing the teachings of the Buddha again. There you go. And you can see all this cool stuff, except this angry gal.
It was so
TikTok.
No TikTok, because I'm TikToking a little bit. Go ahead.
So I thought it was really interesting that from how I had always understood, it was just kind of divine interactions that had happened. Like that, it was the old, the sick, and the monk. They were all supposed to be there, so that way he could achieve his enlightenment through the understanding, like, oh, this is suffering. Okay, well, I need to change things. But it's interesting to think of it from a different perspective, where try as the chieftain or king or Ahsoka, he didn't want his son to see any of that. He didn't want Buddha or Siddhartha to see any of that.
Suddhodana, his dad.
Suddhodana?
Yeah, not Ahsoka.
I wrote that wrong.
Yeah.
But he didn't want him to see any of that at all. And he set it up to where he wasn't, but he still did see it, and it still led him to the way he was. Another thing that I thought was cool was his dad. After he was born, he had the I don't know the guy's name, the one monk. I don't know if you probably remember Wikipedia.
Yeah, I remember.
It's okay.
his name.
But the one monk that went to
Tell the prophecy about like if he was going to be, like, what he was going to be, and it was either
Great king,
or
or
great spiritual leader the world's ever seen.
but he knew he was going to be a spiritual leader, so he like bowed him, paid respect, and then his father did the same thing to him, and then he kept getting all these other different people in, these different spiritual people in,
like 8 different ones.
and they all said he's either going to be a great king or a very spiritual leader. But the last one was like, no, he's going to be a fully enlightened being.
Mm.
And then, another thing I thought was cool, because we know the story where he meditates under the tree, his first meditation, which is where he unlocks the first jhana.
Mm.
And he's sitting there for hours and just in total bliss during the party or whatever that was going on as a child. But the sun, as it moved across the sky, didn't affect the shadow that was cast by the tree, so that way he could be comfortable.
Mm.
So even though the sun moved across the sky, the shadow stayed in the same spot, so he could sit there in like ultimate comfort as he unlocked the jhana, his first deep meditation, and his father bowed to him again there. He's like, oh, sun's over there, shadow's coming from here. And so that was really neat. And another thing I found was really cool was as he began to, after his enlightenment, he was spreading, he went to the fire worshippers, and he goes and he stays in the fire temple, and the guy's like, you don't want to stay in there. He's like, I don't want this guy here. And he's like, let me stay in this fire temple. He's like, you don't want to go in there. There's a big serpent. There's a giant snake. It's gonna get you. And he's like, let me go. He's like, you don't want to do it. He's like, let me go. He's like, all right, you can go. And then the guy's like, the serpent probably ate him by now. And he goes in the morning, and he turned the giant snake into a little worm-sized snake. I don't know more so in like how, it doesn't matter how. But I like these ideas that as he went on, people were just so like, oh crap, this dude's a real deal. Like, we gotta listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about and see it. And there's so many people, they listen to him one time. So many people. His voice was that powerful. I don't know, a powerful voice. His voice was that strong. The words he said, the things he chose were so perfect to each and every person independently. As you said, you find the right thing to say at the right moment, one sentence, and it'll be out. Great enlightenment right then and there. There's quite a bit, as you all know, and it's a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun now. I mean, it's always been fun practicing everything, but it's really neat to start to see some of the more interesting feats that he accomplished while he was alive, traveling around, going to different temples that they worship different things, and basically then transitioning into monasteries through him just showing up. And just everything changed for them. And then, what was it, 20,000 people? His father requested him to come home to learn the Dhamma, and he brought all of his monks with him, all the bhikkhus. What do you say, 60 leagues in 60 days? I don't know how long a league is, but that movie or that book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it's pretty far. They walked a league a day to get there, and they showed up, and then his son was like, yo, you left us, where's my inheritance? Because I was supposed to get all this stuff. And he's like, I'll give you the greatest inheritance you can ever have. His son becomes a follower. It's just like every person that he talked to followed him. He was just that there was no denying the truth that he shared. People wanted to argue against him. People wanted to know, people wanted to try, as you mentioned, try to kill him. What was his name? I think it was David Datta.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to kill him multiple times.
His cousin, yeah,
He
David
tried to
Dalton.
take over. He was like, "Yeah, you're getting pretty old, man."
And he got jealous of the Buddha because of skills when they were doing archery.
Yeah.
The Buddha he mastered all of the fine arts of military arts, and David Datta was like, "I don't like you. If I don't like you, I don't mess with you." But had it out for him.
Yeah.
And at one point, David Datta wanted to run the Sangha, and the Buddha's like, "No."
Yeah. But he came up with these rules that were, to me, seemed a bit more like the rules of an ascetic.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, a bhikkhu has to live under a tree, and a bhikkhu can't ever put their, step inside of a dwelling, a house.
That's dreams.
And a bhikkhu can't eat any meat no matter what, otherwise they should be severely punished. And he was like, no, there's 3 rules with eating meat. You can't see, hear, or suspect it of being killed for you. Other than that, if it's offered to you, you can accept it.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing too. And then he turns around and he's like, don't you think you should follow me? My rules are far more strict than his. And he's like, what's the point? The middle way is the middle way. It's not the extreme. That's why when he was an ascetic, it didn't work. He tried it out. It didn't work. Oh, and another thing I thought was interesting, I saw 2 different depictions for the meditation when he became enlightened. Some say that he sat under the tree, just for the Bodhi tree, for 49 days straight. And then others say that he did increments of 7 days for 7 weeks. I believe it was. Yeah, 7 times 7. 7 days for 7 weeks.
It's 49.
It's
49.
49 days. So that's perfect. Good math.
Math guy.
Better than me. So some say that he sat for a week and he did walking meditation, and throughout this whole period of time, that's when Mara was hitting him with different temptations, and he kept overcoming them, and finally he was like, all right, I give up, can't win. And he couldn't, and then he tried to attempt one more time with a wife later in his life. And he's like, I don't need that. It's like, I got this. I got total, I don't need a wife. I don't need any of that. So he tried to sneak back in later on in the Buddha's
Girls are
life.
expensive, and they eat a lot.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Which I thought was he didn't give up. Mara didn't give up. He quit for a while and then he tried to sneak back in. Like, maybe if I come back in 20 years, maybe then I can get him
Never could.
unfazed. So his aunt on his mother's side was the one who was the first Buddhist nun.
Maha Prajapati.
Yeah.
Maha Prajapati.
Still working on it.
There's a lot of Pali names. It's difficult to.
Oh, and then I'm probably gonna say it wrong, but Anada. He was the one that was responsible for sharing the teachings of the Buddha. Like, who said that his mind was so sharp. I would say that he had an eidetic memory, if you will, where he was able to recite every single thing that the Buddha said after he passed away. And he was the one that was responsible for carrying on the teachings, which makes sense why he would have picked him to be his right hand dude. So that it's cool because these things I don't really think about until I'm talking about it. I wouldn't even realize until I just said that the Buddha picked him early on to be his like his go-to man for any help or whatever. I don't think he needed help, you know what I'm saying? But it was this guy. And then he was able to, when he passed away, he was able to recite every teaching and was responsible for carrying on the legacy of the Buddha word for word, which is how it was able to make its way down and ultimately be written. Unchanged for thousands of years.
Right.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. And then the split of the schools where they were like, nah, bruh, I had done her different. And they were like, the Theravadins were like, what? What do you mean? You done had to? When they started getting bigger and they started moving to different regions, we're like, this is how we chant. Hitipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho. And what do you mean? And we chant in a group. So even if one of us forgot, you would know the oral transmissions. And so they started bickering and they're like, okay, well, all right, peace out, dude. We're going to go up north. I'm like, all right, well, we're going to stay south. Yep, see ya. That's where you have the split of the schools. Right? But they had a very good system of memorizing, and preserving the integrity of the teachings. Not to mention the rules for monks is that we police ourselves. You know, like again, everything that I have said over the past almost close to a year with all of you, is that's what brings me great joy and happiness. Like, who knows? I go to the strip club. Who knows I'm partying, right? Who knows I'm gambling when I'm not teaching, right? Who knows I'm smoking weed? You think I smoke weed? You're looking at me like,
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, and teaching, and now students are now spending the whole day with me now. That guy, he's an FBI agent. Just look at his glasses. You have kids. I'm just kidding. That's Eric. He's not an FBI agent. Eric, come hear his voice. Say hi, Eric.
Hello, Eric. Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
You're intimidating him. An FBI agent.
Yeah. Look, he's shaking. You see him shaking? He's literally shaking. He's like,
Well,
oh
he's
crap,
just
this
gonna
kid's
give you his
gonna
watch.
beat
He's
me
so
up.
scared. He's taking his watch.
Look. Look, he's showing you he's not a threat. See, he's disarming himself. You see that? See the power of the voice?
I don't know, I see a couple signal zeros.
Yeah. Eric's my assistant. So now I have students that is with me 24/7, close to 24/7. I hope they don't look at me while I'm sleeping. That's pretty scary.
No, that's gonna be me.
This is Johnny Boy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Eric.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
My name isn't Johnny Boy, but that's what.
What would you like to be called?
Wait for dinner.
Some people call me Lil John, Jay.
What's the most gangster's name you want? Yeah, I was gangster too. Tell me.
Oh, John.
What was you running?
No, don't worry about me. I want to hear the most gangster's name you want. All the rap music y'all be hearing. Yeah, come on, have at it. To me, cuz drippiest name.
The drippiest name.
Lit. A name that is lit. Makes all the girls go, what?
Lil J.
No, Jay.
No,
No.
no. That don't make no girls go,
What are you thinking?
I don't know, John, deep voice, scary, John Wick.
John.
John Wick Jr. John Wick.
Balanced, focused, unshakable. Even though, He doesn't really keep the precepts too well, but
So, yeah, happiness is keeping the precept. Happiness is not lying, cheating, stealing, intoxicating substance, sexual misconduct. Make sure it's consensual. You're too young for that. Don't. Yeah, STD is real. And now it's pretty awesome. Now it's like, I mean, even if I like passed away or die, I have students that now can give full accounts in one day what we do. And yeah, I mean, each and every single one of you have that power to inspire other people. Again, you've already started. The people notice how you change at work. People started how to notice change at work. You see that? See, our job is here not to believe the Buddha. Whatever he says, we're not supposed to believe. We're supposed to test it out. Everything he said, 84,000 teaching, we're supposed to test it out. And
It's a lot of testing.
yeah, but it's fun,
experimental.
You have a lot of friends.
Kind of. Yeah, but like I don't count them as friends.
Acquaintances.
Because they fools, huh? You catch them being fools, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what the Buddha said about that? He said, I'd rather walk alone than walk with fools. He thought about it. His statement actually superseded Stephen's. Remember? Who was with me when I was with Stephen? You? You. Remember how Stephen called people friend and didn't even know the meaning of friends?
Yeah. Acquaintances.
This 14-year-old just superseded definition of friends. He thought about it. He thought about it. Steve did not.
Yeah, but he got them friends.
Ooh.
Not like them.
Well, he thought about it. So yeah, just be careful. Again, there were people that was jealous of the Buddha, was envious of the Buddha, and tried to kill him. Was not peaceful. Anything that stood out for you, Miss Julia?
But the Devas helped, like throughout the entire time. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
My favorite is the Devas. The Devas are like angels, celestial being. They're like angels up there. They keep an eye out for each and every single one of us. They have a plan for each. I believe that they have a plan for each and every single one of us. Some of my car accidents were quite horrific, and I credit the Devas looking out for me. I mean, some of these. I mean, I was hit by was it Thunderbird?
That's nice.
Thunderbird.
Mhm.
I was hit on the side. I was blasting music when I was like 16 years old, driving two of my other friends in a Mazda 626 on Gandhi, pulling into the fishing pier. We were just acting a fool. And you know what? The Buddha says, if you're not mindful, you're might as well good as dead. We were just dead in the car. And all of a sudden, this Firebird just came down. I mean, just the way it hit the car, the way the car spun, and no broken bones, no broken neck. This is a miracle. So, I mean, it's two things. One, I have a really good responsive nervous system that upon impact, it just knows how to like loosen things up. So I don't break anything, and just go with the flow of the impact, and the car absorbed all of it. Or two, I got these angels that's looking out for me that says, no, it's not your time. You're going to be preaching the Dhamma for a good minute when you turn a certain age. So, you know what I mean? It's a good thing to always remind yourself. So that's why Venerable Saranapala, at the end of every session, he says, may the Devas and celestial being look after you, look over you. Very powerful. Very powerful. To me, he is His Holiness. And so, if His Holiness says so, that's quite powerful. Senior teachers who have examined teachings, who have seen it for themselves, experienced it for themselves, dare to proclaim Devas and celestial beings protecting over others. When the world is this hectic out there, killing and driving off bridges, Glock, fully automatic with switches and stuff like that. You know, when we monks, we close our eyes. And just the other day, we went and paid our respects, and I taught them how to pay proper respect to the Buddha. And now we have little Buddhas, I mean, gold Buddhas inside of the huts. Did you see the live?
No, I didn't see it.
You didn't see the live? Oh. And I don't know. I went from a kid that wanted just trouble all the time, got a kick out of trouble all the time, to going towards this path. And now the image of the Buddha cannot escape my mind. His life cannot, I breathe it. It's in my veins now. And it makes me happy every morning reflecting on his life. And that's why studying the life of the Buddha is so important. Out of all the fiction stories that's out there, and no matter sometimes a certain part of the book sounds fictional, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. And to think that if he had that type of psychic power, just for fun, we can also guess, if we meditated like he did, perhaps we could cultivate the same. Perhaps. Each and every single one of you got to experience something special with me. How every time when you come here, something strikes, something I say strike deep in your heart. Somewhere down the line, I just have my ways of penetrating your heart where change is needed the most. Deep, fast, profound. One must ask, how did he cultivate such skills? As the young 35, that was your buddy over at Osmar.
That's real talk.
One must ask, so again, in your life, you will meet a lot of people. You're very young. In your life, you have a lot of people. You will need the ability, as demonstrated, to inspire, to tame, to command, respect, to create an atmosphere of safety, of understanding, of deep understanding, so that you all get from point A to point B smoothly. Enlightenment is not that mysterious. Some of these superpowers that the Buddha cultivated, well, let's look at the power to listen without judgment. Master that before we go into psychic powers. Master the art of learning how to unlearn things that you have learned in your younger lives that is no longer accurate, no longer true, does not serve you and other people. Learn to unlearn. I became a monk at 26, 27 years old, somewhere around there. That meant 27 years prior, I had a lot of memory, a lot of trauma, a lot of depression, bipolar, a lot of anxiety. 27 years of that is a long time, long time of accumulated negative acquired emotions, accumulated negative acquired bad habits. And to give it all up in a matter of months, leading into 6 months in my monkhood. And I realized I don't know Jack. I know Tom, but I don't know Jack. So, and it was beautiful, and it was beautiful not having to operate on that angry level anymore. Having the know-it-all attitude. Oh, I think I know everything. Yeah, I got you figured out. I got you figured out. No. You draw people away. You alienate yourself. And so, I hope to inspire all of you with, first and foremost, my age, how fast I gave up, how fast I renunciation, giving up, just give it up. And when we look at what truly makes us happy, doesn't really make us happy. It's not stable, doesn't last forever, subject to change, and is not within our control.
I heard a very good saying about happiness the other day.
That's why I said for how long.
Yeah, and this guy right here, something about this guy right here. I asked Eric, what makes you happy? And he sat there, and I'm like, and then he answered a question with a question. Don't you hate that? Like, answer a question with a question. When you ask him a question, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What I mean? What do you mean? Bruh, just answer the question. And he goes, for how long? I'll be damned. Speaks volume. So what makes you happy, Johnny boy? Fixing poles? Vapes? True religion?
Do you skate?
Material things? Gold, jewelry, females, TikTok,
I don't like TikTok. I like social media.
shoes, food, pizza.
Smaller when you say females. RC.
Living.
Experience. What do you do for fun when you're not in school?
Hmm?
What do you do for fun when you're not in school? Fishing, hiking,
Like if I'm not in school.
paintball, airsoft. We play airsoft, all three of us.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I like this week if I'm there.
Go crazy.
I don't think crazy sometimes.
I like basketball. I like boxing.
I'm a pretty angry guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit him with a yeah.
See? That way.
It's a good outlet. And what do you expect him to do? Play with Barbie dolls? Yeah.
I used to do that.
Of course I did.
No,
Of course I did.
Of course you did. You used to play Barbie dolls with me when I was like 2.
Yeah.
Sure, put makeup on you or anything. I think
Oh,
you got
no.
rid of your tick.
Wait, maybe it wasn't me, but
I
it
think it was
was Jenna.
Jenna.
Jenna had always had makeup on me.
Jenna's.
So what are you getting out of this so far? When you put all this together, tell me what you got so far. I just want to see your observation skills.
The Buddha isn't something like, as you say, you want to like you don't want to fully follow him or bow down. He's not the one you want to experiment what he says. You want to experiment his experience to see what is the truth to what he does and to what can happen after. More so that there shouldn't be. He believes there shouldn't be judgment, but there is judgment. So you can't everybody's going to have a judgment about something that other people won't judge.
Mm.
Because there's always difference.
Mm.
But he tries to follow the path of, if you don't judge, there's no judgment. There's no look at like, oh, he does crack and then he does meth. Like he doesn't look at people like that. It's like, oh, he's looking at them like they're doing it. Yeah, what from something.
What did you learn this week, Sam? Either through CBT or what you studied at home in Buddhism?
Learn to detach from as many things as you can, as quickly as you can. Controlling emotions. One thing who cannot control their emotions, cannot control nearly anything to do with their own lives. Stop talking. Do the work. Let the actions show. You talk after. Because if I were to say, that light works, but it's not even on. But I turn it on, and then I say, hey, look, this light works. You believe me more, right? When you can show what you've done, but then you can back it with words before you say the words without backing it with actions, it means a lot more. People will listen to you a lot more. And they start to get very curious. Because they're like, well, if he can do it, then why can't I do it? And there's also a quote that I heard in a podcast. It's by Matthew McConaughey. I'm sure we all know Matthew McConaughey. And he said, if happiness is what you're after, you're going to be let down frequently and be unhappy most of your time. Which has happened for a while. You cannot attach to happiness. The more you attach to something, the more you will not be able to achieve it.
Because it's a craving.
Desire.
Exactly.
Oh my God. This came for like 2 minutes.
I can't.
Yeah. See his ears? Very attentive. Just when you think he's not listening, he is. That's why I want him a little closer to me. The art of reading people. My supernatural powers. You want to see me levitate?
That'd be pretty crazy.
He said that to people, like, just like AI in the world, like, we're walking by somebody, you want to see me levitate?
Yeah.
Like, they literally stop and like, wait.
Like someone just like, they're like, oh yeah, let's see.
Nobody ever sees like monks out in public. Right?
Yeah.
No, except for this guy.
Everyone's mind blown.
This guy sees monks walking down the highway in San
I've seen in New York. I don't know if it was monks or a different type of following or religion, but they had these same. I don't know if it was orange, but it was like brownish. And they had the same.
So today I want to emphasize more on practice and less talking. So therefore, we're going to head to the monastery now. Number one, our priority is the early praise and promise, Johnny boy. And so now we're going to go test out the teachings of the Buddha in a place conducive for it. Your truck, we're going to take your truck. If you guys want, we can leave. I mean, you guys can take your own vehicle, or we can go all in one truck because his has a humongous expedition.
I just need to unload a couple things in your car.
Yeah, so it's up to you guys. If you guys want to take two vehicles.
We're going down the
Yeah.
monastery.
Have you guys gone to the smaller temple? There's a smaller temple that's pretty chill.
We've been to two. We went to the one in Tampa.
You know what I need, Eric? I need my tripods out deep within my. So I need you to put everything.
All that stuff. So
Yeah, put everything in the back of your SUV,
Yeah, I don't know if we can all fit in my car.
Oh, okay,
I got
well,
4 cases in there.
It's all right. Right now, just put all of
It's
the
okay, we'll drive.
Oh,
yeah. Just get all the stuff in the back of my
of my car.
trunk back into your car. Yeah, do that so that I can
Just
access.
tripods?
We are gonna come back here, so whatever you need to leave here, you can leave here. But yeah, just do that right now. Give Eric a radio, a yellow radio. Get the yellow radio bag out. Give him a small one. Give him a small one because he likes to drop it. Turn it on. Let me get a radio. You want to ride with me, Johnny boy? Or you want to ride with them? Are you afraid of being? Are you afraid of being kidnapped? Yeah. So if you guys want to head there first, actually, why don't you guys take Johnny boy there first? Let him tour a little bit. So when I get there, it's just I'm gonna set everything up and we're gonna practice. Yeah. Give him a tour and and then probably stop by a gas station for him to grab like something to drink so he wakes up and feel energetic. And kids always have a drink in their hand and are like, yeah, I'm chilling. Got my Monster Energy drink. What do you drink? You drink that stuff? Vitamin water?
Anything.
Sweet tea? Yeah. Yeah. Get something refreshing. You got to approach kids differently. Okay. I'll see you guys there shortly.
Sounds so sad when you turn them off.
This thing,
Yeah, JBL's always sounds so sad when you turn them off.
they are sad. They want you to charge them. This going to come down with us.
Anything else?
Everyone who is watching, I will go live again on my phones because right now everything is got to be. I can't bring these laptops with me, so I'm gonna use my phones when I get there for guided meditations at the monastery.